believe would allow him to speak and tell you about what he is doing, what he is willing to do, and to try to address the concerns that you have about it not fitting in with the current district, about all of that sort of thing. Mr. Wynn does not speak English very well, but I'm going to let him talk some, and then if I could maybe answer any other questions that you might have.
I need to ask a procedural question because we had a public hearing on this. Again, public hearings, so I'm going to defer to the attorney since this is a zoning matter. I have to be very careful about breaking protocol.
Right, when the mayor calls for an opportunity to speak in support or an objection of one of the public hearing items, that's the opportunity to come up and speak. Sorry, excuse me. That's the opportunity to come up and speak either in support or against.
And I'm sorry, that was very unclear. That seemed to be a citizen opportunity rather than the applicant himself being able to speak.
We could take comments at the end of the meeting, or, I mean, we take general comments at the end of the meeting, so I don't put any restrictions, we don't put any restrictions on anything anybody wants to say at the end of the meeting. Or I guess council, I'm asking the attorney, because this is a zoning matter, and I don't want to get into any sticky weeds here.
Right.
Sir, maybe we can move general comments from the end of the meeting. Back public comments.
We could do that.
Or we can wait till the end of the meeting if we need to do that.
Is that?
I want you to be able to be heard. Right now we're taking comments on agenda items. So if there was ever a challenge made, they could say, well, you didn't follow the protocol, because you know what I'm saying. So I want to follow.
Is it okay, wait till general comment?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other agenda item comments on my left? On my right? Okay, so do y'all want to make a motion to move comments, general comments to now?
I move that we modify the agenda to move general comments from the end of the meeting
Item 11.
to now, to allow.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Are we going to revisit public comments again at the end of the meeting?
We're moving it,
And this is the time.
this will be the move, so I open the floor for public comments again as we vote in the affirmative. All right, any discussion? Be none, all in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. So now I'll open the floor up for general comments. So now will be the time. I'm going to let her go, George.
As I said, I wanted Mr. Wynn to speak first, and then I will,
Thank you.
Mayor and Mr. Chairman, I'm owner of Animal Arena in a current of 20 years, and I did good job over there, and I do research about Color Park, and we get a lot of contract from hotel, and to get money. That's why my shop current is only 1,400 square feet. And not enough, to develop our 30 contract of 30 hotel, and hotel will build up and get more from hotel.
So you say you need more space.
And I need more space. And I just bought it from 685 North Central Avenue. I'm on it. That's why I hope I can open this over there. And last week I did here for agenda and with the event.
Planning Commission.
Yeah, that's why I look for us to stand up for my EPA and environment and everything. And I hope we can to open this in here. And I do whatever and city to try with the owner. I maybe to meet the city market.
Ma'am, do you want to make a comment? I believe I understood him say he purchased the building, so he has.
yes, he has purchased the property. I think some of the concerns that have been expressed are about how this fits in with the Arts District. I rode up and down that street today in preparation for this meeting, and there are a wide variety of buildings in that area. Mr. Nguyen has already expressed a willingness to whatever suggestion is made in terms of additional shrubbery. There are flower boxes on the outside of the building. Those can be improved upon and maintained to make a very, very pretty exterior for the building. There's enough room possibly to even put a bench there, which would be very, very conducive if people are walking around downtown in the nighttime. There's ample parking spaces at the building. I do not believe it would adversely impact traffic or parking in that area, and I believe that's what the planner's report said. As Mr. Willie said, he has been in business for over 20 years. He has an excellent business reputation. He's recently been awarded the next door favorite dry cleaner in College Park. If you look him up on Google and Yelp, he has a 4.3 and a 4.2 rating respectively on those things. He has continuously operated his business in keeping with all environmental requirements, EPA, EPD, the kind of machinery that he uses, there is no venting of any sort of air or anything outside of the building. Because his primary customers are hotels and businesses that pick up, actually Mr. Nguyen goes and picks up a lot of those items and delivers them, so that amount of traffic, it will not be the big trucks coming in and making those deliveries. Mr. Nguyen goes to those places and to those institutions and picks up the building. He fully recognizes that the building needs to be handicapped accessible. Currently, there's a little bit of about a 3-inch drop off from the front door to the pavement. He will do whatever leveling or put whatever little ramp needs to be put there. He has already expended over $6,500 on the parking lot itself in order to fix the drainage problem. Basically what I am saying is that Mr. Nguyen has been a participating member of the College Park community, and he would love to be a participating member of the Hapeville community, a participating business member. He would do whatever, he would comply with whatever restrictions the mayor and city council would put on him in terms of making sure it fits in with the art district. Again, as I said, there are a number of buildings down there. There's a real estate company. He would do what he needed to do. The building is set far enough back from the street, and the parking lot is big enough that he could put a number of things there to make it look better and feel better, which would be conducive to him and would also fit in with what the city's concerns are.
Any questions while we have them up here?
Can the audience ask questions?
I'm gonna open, we're back to general comments in just a moment, so.
Ask now.
I can't open the public hearing back up, so you're gonna have to come up, state your name and ask your question. Okay. All right, so I'm still open for general comments on my left.
George Rogan, 2108 Woodland Drive. Mayor Hallman, I want to make a public comment at this mayor and council meeting. As such, I would like to finish this comment without interruption. A couple of mayor and council meetings ago, I stood to make a public comment. During that comment, you, Mayor, brought up the Akron bond and you said, I have received a settlement. That was the bond to fund Solis Hotel. You said my settlement was substantial. Mr. Holman, were you speaking as the mayor? If so, this is a personal attack against me, and I want to know where this information came from. Did you verify this information? You have made a slanderous statement, and as the mayor, you have the obligation to support this untrue accusation or to apologize to me and the citizens. If you were not speaking as the mayor, then were you also speaking for the Development Authority? You are and have been a voting member of the Development Authority, for many years. So are you saying the Development Authority had documentation to support this rumor? If so, I request the Chair, Katrina Bradbury, to issue a statement in open session as to the validity of this statement. I want these to occur immediately. If you cannot provide detailed documents that support what you keep saying, then you are slandering me. Simple as that.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
You're welcome.
Any other comments on my left? Any comments on my right? Mary Ann?
Do I have to come up here?
Yes, please. State your name and address for the record. Thank you for coming here.
Mary Ann Acres, 631 Chestnut Street. I want to ask questions here. I just want to know, where exactly is the building?
It's the old, it's next to Michael Ramlin's house. It's the old,
Oh, the old
St.
thrift
Vincent
store?
de Paul thrift store, yes.
Okay.
She's got a picture of it right there, Mary Ann.
Okay, yeah. So one question I have is, the building would, I mean, you would be closed at night, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and most of your clients would be, would not be everyday people, it would be professional, like the hotel, right? So my question would be, you would be willing to, when we have events here in Hapeville, you would be willing to allow the parking spaces to be used for events here in Hapeville, like the upcoming concert in the parks and things like that?
We have talked, with the city, that's why, and I'm on the too.
Yeah.
That's why we don't have anything for the city required.
Yeah, so we could use your parking spaces, okay, that would be great. Okay, I personally, just knowing that he has purchased this building, I really don't see how we can deny him this, and I'm asking the mayor and council to reconsider and allow this man to have this business.
Yes, ma'am. Any other comments on the right? Shirley?
I just don't understand why we have a city planning commission and they consider to cancel to approve these items and then we don't approve them.
Would you state your name and address?
Oh,
for the
I'm
record?
sorry, I don't even know where I'm, Shirley Durr, 511 Parkway.
Thank you, ma'am.
But I see several items on here where the planning commission has approved it, but yet we don't. I just don't understand that. Now, my main goal was to come up and tell y'all Family Life is gonna have a party this weekend. So, I'm not gonna pass these out now, but we're having a pancake breakfast Saturday morning and a treasure sale. On the paper, it says frugality, but that's Catherine's word for treasure. But if you can get to the ministry, the pancakes are gonna be good. The chef from Valares is cooking. So y'all know how good that is. We'd like for the police and the fire department to come, correct, Miss Jane? No charge. No charge. And right now, the ministry is very sad because we've lost a hero. Dr. Robinson passed away last night. And he was the principal at Tri-City, a great man.
Yeah, he was a great man.
It was their very
And
first.
a hero. Now, he's with the Lord, and we're happy about that, but we are
Yeah,
sad.
council meeting.
And he gave and gave and gave. Last year, I was at Tri-City, and he gave 4 children scholarships out of his own pocket, $4,000. He was a giving man.
He was a great man. Thank you
Now
for
he's
sharing that.
given in the heaven.
I did not know he had passed away. Thank you
Yeah.
for letting me know that.
Thank y'all.
Any other comments on my right? Right?
Frank Cranford, 3315 on Vista Drive. How can you turn down a cleaner that's diagonally across the street from another cleaner that's already been in business? And is that part of the art overlay, or is it just North Central Avenue? South Central Avenue is part of the art overlay? Right next to Doggy Style, a nice kennel. Both of those parcels back up to residential. And this man's business backs up to residential. It's also right across an empty lot from a office building / restaurant building. I don't know what you're gonna do with the old Honda dealership building. And you can't have a dry cleaners? That's ridiculous, guys. Thank you.
Right. Any other comments on my right?
Carolyn Ralph, 2132 Arvada Drive. And I just wanted to say I agree with Frank and Shirley that I just don't understand why you are turning these gentlemen down. As Frank said, there's another dry cleaners just down the street. It makes no sense to me why you're turning this one down. Thanks.
Thank you, Carol. Any other comments on the right? All right, if not, we will move into our consent agenda. And on our consent agenda tonight, we have 3 items. We have consideration and action on an MOU with Hazel Elementary School to allow for emergency evacuation school facilities to the Tom Morris Sports Complex. We have consideration and action on the MOA, Memorandum of Agreement for the South Fulton Comprehensive Transportation Plan, and authorize the mayor to sign the necessary documents. And we have consideration and action to approve Mullins Brothers in the amount of $121,872 for our state LMIG funds for the paving of Jackson Street. So is anyone prepared to make a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll move.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Second discussion? There being none, all in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just for process, for the applicant that's still here, is there appeals process in court?
I'll ask our attorney.
One more time?
The appeals process if the dry cleaners chooses to.
On the 685 conditional use permit that was denied,
No,
There's no appeals
I
process.
think so. Not for us.
to my knowledge, no, not through
But it
the.
flooded basically our Superior Court.
Yes, sir.
That's exactly what I'm asking, so.
I just wanted to comment, I appreciate the staff considering Jackson Street in the consent agenda and delaying the Doug Davis Drive paving. Appreciate that recommendation, part of our consent agreement.
Very good. All right, we're under old business, and first item up under old business is transient merchants ordinance amendment. This will be the second reading of that amendment. On August 7th, Councilman Horsley initiated a discussion on the transient merchant / food policy. During the discussion, Mayor and Council gave recommendations for the transient merchants ordinance amendment. The first reading of the ordinance amendment was conducted on August 21st, in which caveats were given by Mayor and Council. The ordinance amendment has been modified to include the caveats and is now ready for approval. Is anyone prepared to make a motion on this item?
I believe there are some comments, possibly by Steve, delayed for another 2 weeks.
All right, well, if you want to, let's make a motion and we can get it on the floor, and then we'll do something with it.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Second, all right, now discussion, go ahead.
I had a lot of things that I wanted to point out. I'll start with section 2. Part B.
Line number 1. Line number.
101. So, first, I have a lot of notes, that's why I'm taking a minute before I speak. Where it says that the merchant will not sell merchandise for more than 3 consecutive calendar days per week during a 90-day period. I feel like there could be a possible exception for a special event or a special season, for instance, in the park during softball season, football season. They may have practices daily, but the limitation of 3 consecutive days would be limiting. There's that.
Was there a suggestion of what it should be? Or just strike?
I don't think it should be struck. It's just my personal opinion.
Where was that section again? I'm sorry.
That's line 105.
It's 105, line 1 through
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the first line, but it's not.
It's 101 through 107, strike. Or the language as it relates to 3 consecutive calendar days. Is that correct?
It's just that 3 consecutive days.
All right.
The second one, line 109, it says that they're convicted of any violation. I was wondering if there was a possibility that they could be fined. With any violations prior to,
What kind of process are you gonna have to hear out the allegations and the action?
no, I think that we could outline certain things that have to be done, like the requirements that the transit vendor permit has to be on display, and things like that. I'm just wondering if there's something we can do that kind of enforce that more, because if it's something that's, if I'm given a written notice, I might not take it as seriously as a fine. I'm not saying it has to be like a hefty fine. I'm just curious.
Language provides for revocation.
It says immediate upon,
Revocation.
revocation, they're getting written notice,
That's the penalty.
but there's no penalty for violating any of the provisions of having a permit, other than it just being revoked.
So like a $100 fine, $50
I
fine.
don't even think it has to be that much, I think like $20.
Okay.
Line 119, or 118 and 119, the transit merchant shall comply with the city's ordinances for zoning, occupational taxes, and all other issues. I think all other issues needs to be defined.
What number is that? Sorry.
118 and 119. And then, I guess starting at line 122, sections 3, 4, and 5, I feel like they all 3 conflict each other. So, starting with line 122, it says, a transit merchant cannot obtain more than 4 transient merchant permits. That will be 360 days. Then section 4 says that they cannot obtain a transit merchant permit for consecutive 90-day periods. So if they can't get consecutive periods, then that means that they cannot have more than 4, because that would exceed the amount of days we have in a year.
Right.
And then section 5 says that a transient merchant cannot obtain more than 1 transient permit at any given time. I'm assuming that they can't have a transient permit for multiple locations, right?
I think that's what the mission or the goal of that is.
And then the next sentence says a transient merchant may apply for a new license for a business currently operating under a transient merchant license, which is set to expire no sooner than 15 days. But that would allow them, if the license is about to expire and they have to apply for another one within 15 days, and that would be 2 consecutive periods. And it says that they cannot have 2 consecutive 90-day periods holding a permit. So all 3 of those sections just kind of contradict each other to me.
Do you want staff to revisit all of this and bring us back some different verbiage?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to table with all these changes we can't pass.
Yeah,
It's the second reading.
Significant changes.
I'm not done yet.
Could,
Give them all to Tim, let's move on. I'm joking.
So, lines 163 and 164 says, except for ice cream trucks, no mobile food vendor shall conduct business or operate in the public right of way. And that's more of a question, because we had mentioned businesses that do not have a parking lot that they own, or that is part of their parcel. Would a parking lot count as the public right of way?
I think the assumption on a public right of way is a street, actually in the street.
Okay, so I just wanted to verify that.
Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes, ma'am.
So if the parking,
Yes, maybe.
May call
Yes,
worse.
sir, Mayor, so-
I think he said yes, Mayor, not yes, ma'am.
Try to cover the revisions.
so if I have a business that has striped parking in the public right of way, would street parking count as the public right of way?
Yes.
Street parking, I bet it would.
Yes, but I feel like that may be the only parking that some businesses have is in the public right of way.
We made a Frankenstein out of this one.
I'm sorry,
I know.
I'm not done yet.
That's why we have to.
And then line 184, it says that they're only allowed in commercial zoning districts, or are parks zone commercial?
Not all.
So that would prohibit for ice cream truck.
Why don't we just add a line of that says, or approved city venues?
And two more things, and I swear I'm done. Line 235, it says, should the mobile food vendor wish to locate on property to which that business or occupational license from the city has not been assigned? That does not make any sense to me. And there's a couple of ways I could think of rewriting it, but there would be two different things. So I'm not sure what the intention of that line is because of the arrangement of the words.
I think the intentionality of that line, of which it did not come out that way, was for,
I think that was the concept that we had talked about one time about bringing a food truck and.
if Arches brings a food truck that's
Right.
Billy's Burgers,
Right.
and Arches already has an occupational tax license,
So they don't have a food license.
That makes
That-
sense, if that's what it was supposed to say.
Yeah.
But that makes sense.
reword.
2 more weeks, no, I'm done. I think we need to define the approved areas for right-of-way vending. But I think I already recapped that. And then I do think there may be special events that are not city-sponsored events, and the business may host a special event. The price of the permit is high enough that I might not make that money back. And I'm not planning on vending for 90 days or possibly ever again. I'm just coming for an event. And so I do think that we could include a permit for people who don't intend to vend for longer than 90 days, but are not part of a city-sponsored event like a festival.
Well, then you should say, make it like a 5-day permit or a 10-day permit, but only one per calendar year. That way you allow it, but you don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It allows that, and they can't, but then you always run the risk of somebody trying to circumvent that by getting different applicants to do, you know what I'm saying? So I see what you want to do, I just don't know if there's an easy way to do it.
I'm
Just
looking at
remember, whatever things we put in here, we gotta be able to enforce them. We gotta have a vehicle by which to enforce them. So that can get cumbersome for staff.
the last thing, I promise. I do think that if I was gonna, because I actually pulled one of these up for somebody, that the instructions, if I was trying to get a permit, I might not understand fully what all the requirements are. And I know I just pulled up, Atlanta has a bunch of packets for mobile vendors, and their packets are very thorough.
I understood this when we got started. I'm not so sure I understand it now, quite frankly.
What, should I stop talking now?
No, I'm just saying, I'm agreeing with you. It can get confusing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Feel
I'm
better?
not talking about you, I'm talking about this.
Oh, yeah, so it's confusing, and so I was just, and I think I mentioned this before, like something on the website, but I think the actual application itself, especially if we have people who don't speak English as their first language, they may not understand, like step by step what they need to do to make sure they have all their ducks in a row. And so I think that's something we can do. I'm done now.
I think the intentionality and the heart behind this to begin with, and I think it's a merge of a Frankenstein between two legal firms now, is there are small business persons that want to be able to operate some type of food truck or transient vending service throughout the city. Some own properties that are already with an occupational tax license, some in a park. And I just wanted to provide a vehicle, and don't confuse vehicle with the term food truck, a means by which that can occur legally but in a controlled fashion.
Because when we first created the transient vendor, it was when the Braves were independent race and everybody was selling baseball stuff. So that was transient vendor then. It's evolved dramatically since then.
Right.
So
I think we're still operating
so half
food
of
trucks
this,
off of policy from
right,
we're
half
selling
of this
bread.
is in the past and we're trying to be in the future. And somewhere in the middle, we've got the right answer.
And so I think I started getting some really crazy math out of my head when I was trying to say I don't want somebody to be too permanent in a locale, and that's probably what can possibly confuse Fincher Denmark in our discussion, and now we're sitting here again with a Frankenstein. So I'm fine with tabling it for another 2 weeks if that lets us
So there's a
scrap
motion
the
to approve.
preset.
You made a motion to approve?
They need to table longer than that.
I think we need another month. Who made the motion to approve?
I did.
Travis, okay.
Adams, second section.
So Travis, would you withdraw your motion to approve?
I withdraw my motion to approve.
Withdraw your second?
I withdraw my second and my questions that I had. Chloe covered enough.
I apologize. I apologize.
It's okay, it's okay. No, I withdraw my second.
Okay. All right, now, we can be in discussion, you can ask your question.
I'd like to
No,
suggest-
trust me, we're good. We're good.
I'd like to suggest that a couple of our council members sit in on some kind of, sit down with staff to iron this out, or we're gonna be right back where we are tonight, because we're not gonna know what the product is until we get here.
Right.
And I had asked at the last meeting if we could be
I'm completely
included on the
fine.
process via email so this wouldn't happen. Because I think the same thing happened with bucket sales, and I feel like that could have been avoided.
Yeah, and another thing, I just don't want it to get so convoluted or so, I think it will serve us as